Over in Disneyland, it looks like we have some changes afoot, according to the Orange County government and the state of California. Orange County has officially moved from the worst color, because that's how our state does things now, by a color system. Reminds me of the old terror alert system that used to be in effect.
Oh, yeah.
Now, instead of purple, which is the worst of all widespread category, we have moved, Orange County has, into substantial. So, you would think red would be the worst.
That's what we were talking about the other day.
I was like, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. But, actually our friend made a good point where he said maybe they want people to realize that it's still serious.
So serious is purple.
I can see
like
that.
Like a bruise.
Yeah, like that. Odd. That,
yeah.
Like
you would think purple would be a good color.
And then change it to cool colors at the end, being like, okay, we're calm. It's blue. We're okay.
Well, now we're in red, and somehow that's better.
Yeah.
So,
I know.
Okay.
Sure. Hey, that's great.
It's
good
good
job,
to
Orange
be
County.
moving down the list, as it were. It's nice to know that Orange County now has a little bit more flexibility when it comes to reopening things. They have started to do. This, of course, leads a lot of people to start asking the question, all right, now that we can see things moving in that direction and doors start opening up and indoor experiences start happening again. Now, when does Disneyland officially reopen? It's a question we get constantly. Obviously, we want to know that too. There were some signs that were placed outside of the Disneyland Resort main entrance this week that basically had health and safety measures posted on them that you would see through other parts of the resort. And people started to freak out thinking, oh my gosh, they're getting ready to open. Oh my God. Apparently, these signs were posted out in front of the park's main entrance because a lot of folks were coming over to take photos in front of the main entrance.
Makes sense.
And were removing masks in which to do so.
You got Instagram.
Yeah, for that Instagram. So it was happening not only in front of Disneyland theme park, but also California Adventure. And as crowds start to form more and more in that area, obviously the whole point of wearing the mask on the property is because you're around other people. And so as crowds start to gather, they wanted to make sure everybody saw that this too was an area in which you needed to wear your mask on the property. Therefore, the signs went up. So a lot of folks reading into that. The other big rumor that I'd like to address that some people seem to be freaking out over is Disneyland is moving to Texas.
I thought it was Australia.
Well, could be anywhere at this point. I mean, who knows? They might just pack up and head to Toronto, but
yeah, Canada.
Disneyland is not moving to Texas. That was a spoof article. That was a joke. Somehow that got around, and some Disney diehards began thinking that was real.
Or even possible.
How is that even, wait 10 years, we'll fix it. It'll be there in 10 years. Don't worry about it. What are they going to do?
I'm not trying to insult anybody's intelligence here, but
I think it would be cheaper to build another Disneyland than it would be to move all of Disneyland.
I was already planning on moving to Texas. What happened?
yeah,
What?
Kurt was going to move to Texas.
Yeah, I was already
with it.
Well,
Bye.
we would miss you. So
10-gallon hat everywhere he goes, sporting it, no doubt.
Tons of
Everything's
barbecue.
bigger in Texas.
Everything's bigger in Texas, and Disneyland could be, right? If they
Right?
packed up and moved
So
out
it'd be
there.
the size of
be.
Disney World then, if everything's bigger in Texas.
Yeah. This land is your land. This land is my land. From California.
Over
Sing
to
it.
Texas.
Out to Texas. Yeah. Pretty sure.
Riding a horsey.
Oh, my goodness. Well,
I don't know, I
we wanted to
lost
put
it.
that rumor to rest at any regard. So between that and then the signs out in front of Disneyland, a lot of people are asking questions right now and freaking out over it. We're just as excited as you to see Disneyland reopen eventually. But these two are just rumors and nothing more. So keep that in mind. Also wanted to mention to you that Disneyland has officially canceled reservations for the resort hotels that are open right now through September the 26th. So if you're somebody that had booked out a reservation for Grand Californian Hotel and Spa or Paradise Pier Hotel, they did just acknowledge that they will not be fulfilling that reservation. Things are canceled through, it looks like, the 26th of the month. That, of course, brings up the next rumor, which is now floating around that Disneyland is shooting for a September 28th reopening. That is awfully close to September 26th. And at this point, based on everything that I've seen, not necessarily sure sure we're going to see a September opening, even though originally I thought that was kind of a sweet spot. We've talked about that before. I definitely think that we're heading in the right direction. A lot of this, let's be frank, all of it contends on what the state is going to allow Disneyland to do. And we're just about a week away from results that are coming from the Labor Day weekend. If numbers spike again, the state has already done it before. No doubt things will probably happen in that direction again. If numbers spike, they will shut things down. So if that occurs as Orange County is just making progress, they might have to hit that reverse button. I don't want to see that. Nobody wants to see that. However, Labor Day was a popular weekend in Southern California where it was bloody hot and a lot of people were going to the beach because it was either stay inside and swelter and turn off your air at 3 p.m. for a flex alert.
Or you already lost your power.
Or you lost your power. So people were heading out to the beach en masse. So there's a lot to consider there, especially if we are to see a spike again in cases. And I know the governor is not afraid to shut things back down. He's done it before. He will likely do it again. The good news, though, is that now that we are in this red category with Orange County and Disneyland, is that indoor dining has reopened, while Walt Disney World has been doing that since the beginning and has had spaced out tables in their indoor dining atmospheres. Downtown Disney is now allowing for limited indoor dining to happen within certain restaurants. Obviously, the biggest among them being things like Ballast Point, La Brea Bakery, Naples. Restaurants are now able to reopen and have more than just outside patio dining, which was taking up a lot of the space in downtown Disney. And certainly a heat wave that has blown through Southern California makes indoor dining that much more attractive for everybody that visits downtown Disney right now, mainly because it's been like 110 outside.
It's gross.
Get me indoors.
Yeah. I mean, it's what, 25% capacity? So at least you can get a little bit of people in there and then try to like share the wealth inside. Those lucky people that get the air conditioning would be really nice. Like no one wants to sit outside right now at the smoke outside. We have so many bad fires around here that I wouldn't want to sit outside either.
It's tough.
Blech.
Yeah.
Usually when we head over here, the opposite side of the freeway is very crowded with people who are trying to get to the beach. Today was wide open.
How about
Empty.
that?
Yeah.
The state has been going through a lot this year, and
Or California, Oregon, just like the West, it's just like gone to it's like one thing kind of like slowly just starts getting better, and then it like goes down the tubes again, and then it starts going back up again, and you're like, oh well, fires.
Yeah, every time there's hope, it seems like
we're like being infestated with like what not, and that's a weird word. That's not the way you say it. Anyway, with mosquitoes.
Oh yes.
And so now we're gonna get like what, Zika virus or something. Who knows? Like,
I thought you were going
what's
to say
gonna
something
happen?
worse. I don't know what I thought you were going to say, but
was I gonna
you
say?
like corrected yourself from infesting, and then I was like, what was she going to say?
I
And
don't
don't
know.
forget.
But there's a lot of mosquitoes out now. Like
Beyond mosquitoes, don't forget the other act that is still yet to be put into play. Murder hornets. They disappeared.
They did.
They were
They're
a threat,
hibernating.
and then they vanished, and now they might come back.
That was just a filler.
That was
That was
just
just
a
a
filler.
Yeah, that was a filler episode.
Plot twist, and we didn't need them after all. Things were worse on their own, I
Oh,
suppose.
can we get just to 2021? Like
Please.
I'm just
Please, yes.
so over 2020.
In other unfortunate news at Disneyland, though, and this one really hits home, the Candlelight processional for Disneyland has been officially canceled this year. Disneyland's Christmas hallmark and an absolute treasure in the Orange County community. It is something that goes on over the course of just 2 nights at Disneyland, and not necessarily over the course of a month like it is at Walt Disney World. At Walt Disney World, it plays several times a night, week after week, and is quite an event out there. It's become almost like a daily attraction during the Christmas season, whereas Disneyland, it's much more of a local thank you and much more of a ceremony that gives back to the community. And so it only happens over the course of 2 nights, but is such a part of the fabric of Disneyland at Christmas time that it's really hard to see something like this that is so special, that means so much to people. They have it right in Town Square. If you're watching us, you're looking at video right now of what that looks like. The setup is huge. It takes over all of Town Square at the end of Main Street and really focuses on the train station. You have performers that line the train station, trumpeters on top of the train station, and then then, of course, the narration usually comes from a celebrity guest host, much like it does out at Epcot. It is such a unique experience, though, in Town Square at Disneyland, and is one of the hardest tickets to get every single year.
yeah.
Because if you're not invited to this thing, you really are just allowed to do kind of like standby, and people will get there the moment the park opens, and they'll stay all day just to get a seat or a bench nearby.
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna sound like a Grinch right now, but
Oh.
I think it's in a horrible location, and I wish they would. I think it's cool for the show. It's cool while you're watching the show, but just the fact that it really just messes with the flow of traffic so much and everything like that. I just wish they would do it like back in the Fantasyland stage or something like that.
Yeah, it's a logistical nightmare. I don't
Yeah.
disagree with you. It's
Yeah.
very hard to manage.
So it's just
Yeah.
one of those things where, in a way, I'm kind of like, well, there won't be that mess this year. Like, and I'm a Grinch. I'm a Scrooge, but I went and saw it one time, and it was a very moving show. It was
See
actually
Thor.
I got to see Thor do his he did the story time. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know what else to call it,
Right.
and it was cool. It was cool, but I think for me as just a Disneyland patron, it kind of gets in the way more than it makes me feel good. So I'm being selfish. I realize that.
That's for sure.
Yeah,
We
but
get the womp womp.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just wish that don't do it, Kurt. I see him clicking. But I just wish that they would move it. I think that would solve a lot of issues. And even if they did it like, I know that it's supposed to be in Disneyland and everything, but even if they did it over in like the Hollywoodland area where there was nothing happening most of the time over in
Put
California
it in
Adventure.
Hyperion Theater.
Yeah, just Hyperion Theater, that would be
Pack
great.
in 2,000 people to
That's
be able to
fancy.
see
Yeah,
it all
Hyperion
indoors.
Theater would
Yeah.
be fantastic, but they want to keep on doing Frozen and stuff like that. But
What oftentimes too, a lot of people don't realize this. It gets canceled usually one of the 2 nights that it plays because there's typically rain that first week of December every year in California. And so that leads to a point where they have to wash out one of the days, and they disappoint a lot of people because they're there all day to see it.
Sure.
So it's tough to see that. And as somebody who worked at Disneyland for a number of years as part of management, just trying to take care of Main Street on that day is very difficult. It is very hard. You do have a lot of complaints from people that can't get or do what they would like to do. They can't
Sure.
get to or do what they would like to do, mainly because it's so congested and packed in. But I know that there was one year, many years ago, where they tried moving it to that Fantasyland Theater in the back of the park, and people threw such a fit because Walt had it in Town Square. Why would you not keep it in Town Square? And they eventually moved it back to Town Square.
Walt also had thousands and thousands less people going into the park at that time than he
There's
does now.
that.
That is
I
also
suppose.
true.
Yeah. Yeah, especially like December going towards Christmas and things like that. It was a remarkably quiet time of the year when Walt was alive, going into those holidays and stuff like that. People didn't go to theme parks then.
Yeah.
During the first
And they dressed up going to the theme parks too.
Wore those heels.
Yeah.
Them
Like,
suits.
they don't do that anymore.
Yep. Unless you're Kurt.
Yeah.
Three-piece
You
suit
classy.
every time he goes.
Yep. You know.
Yep.
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 Thanks
Okay.
for contributing, Kurt. All right.
Anytime, Wade. Anytime. You need my input? I'll give you a yep.
we will miss you, Candlelight Processional. Unless you're Tyler, you will be sorely missed, and hopefully we will see more of the Candlelight Processional in 2021. And I've always thought too, Tyler, to move it to a location where you could not only do it in a way that wouldn't be such an impact to all those other guests that are trying to come in, but also be able to extend it into a real offering throughout the month of December, like it is at
Yeah.
Epcot.
Yeah.
I think you'd fill, an auditorium every night.
Even
or,
if you did it in the Hyperion at night, you just have to do it, maybe once on every weekend, like on a
Yeah.
Sunday or something, and then just do it for a whole month. You can probably sell more seats than doing it for 2 days.
Absolutely.
And
feel
you're
like-
in the luxury of a nice warm area.
Sure.
Yeah, sure. I feel like also one of the reasons they wouldn't want to move it is because they like to have that spectacle. The more I think about it, Disneyland,
It is quite a spectacle.
It is
Like
beautiful.
Disneyland likes to make you feel like there's something around every corner happening, like Phantasmic or the fireworks. Just like no matter where you are in the park, right? You're gonna feel like there's some type of entertainment, and so that even if you're not gonna be going to that show, it feels like a value proposition to the normal guest because they're like, wow, look at all that stuff going on, or even like the night that I was there, and you're like, oh my God, it's Thor while you're walking by, you know, like. So I get that they're trying to like, you know, they probably do it to kind of make it feel like there's a lot of Christmas happening.
Yeah.
Sure. It's very Christmas when you see
yeah.
all like the candles and stuff flickering, and you're just like, oh, that's like a nice warm hug.
Yes.
And then you
But-
see Thor, and you're like, oh, hey, that is also probably a nice warm hug there too.
As a grizzled veteran of Disneyland, it gets to be a little much sometimes. I don't
You
know.
are a little Grinch,
I know.
aren't you?
And with that facial hair,
I know.
grizzled to the nines. Look at you. My goodness. Well, Christmas won't be the same, that's for sure.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.